Hello again. It is time for poor lighting and good response videos, because the community has perhaps had a bit of a dearth of those in the last few weeks. This first video response goes to TheArckmage, not an Archmage, but TheArckmage, in his video entitled RPG Shenanigans, What Has Your Character Gotten Away With? Now at first, I only responded in a comment because I was like, I don't know if I really have any stories that warrant a video. But it's time to get more response videos going, so here it goes. Now this story begins in a long, long ago, around when I first started playing D&D in 4th grade, so I believe I was like 9 or 10 at this time. Now in my original group of 4 of us, we all had player characters, and we would switch who was being the GM every once in a while. In fact, sometimes a few times per day, we would switch who is the GM. So my character was a Paladin, my very first character. And I was going through an adventure from one of the other GMs who, in his defense, was 7 years old at the time. This is about to get strange. So I was riding along with the other adventurers, and then suddenly the earth opened up and we fell into a hole. And we found ourselves on a bizarre medieval fantasy game show in which we were grilled with questions, and getting the answer wrong caused spells and traps to hit you. I wish I could remember some of the questions and what some of the answers were, but for the life of me I can't. All I can remember is it was a bizarre fantasy game show. But before that session, and before we were on this game show, I was talking to my friends, and I was going through the GM's guide, and I was like, holy nutballs, have you seen this Sphere of Annihilation? This thing's crazy. It's this black hole, and if it touches anything, they die, and you can just disintegrate whole towns. And so, I was just talking about how crazy that thing was. So during the game show, I'm getting all the answers correct, and then it kills a bunch of these NPCs, and then the GM says, oh, and the prize of the game show, you get that spear that you wanted. And I was like, spear, what? And he says, oh yeah, that Sphere of Annihilation that you thought was really cool. So here I am, a Paladin, and I just get a Sphere of Annihilation as a game show prize. And then after this game show, we wandered into a dungeon, and so I'm just like disintegrating every monster. We come to some puzzle door that's like, oh, answer this riddle, disintegrate, burn. That's my answer to every riddle, disintegrate, burn. And so I'm just showing the GM like, do you see what you get? Do you see what happens when you unleash the Sphere of Annihilation? But even at 10 years old, and when the GM was 7 years old, I don't go around ruining games. So of course I, give the hint of, hey, did you know that if 2 spheres of annihilation touch, they cancel each other out and destroy each other? Which I'm almost positive was actually in the book. I didn't make that up. That's in AD&D, if I remember. And so of course, all of a sudden we find this necromancer who has a sphere of annihilation of his own. So, I gave the GM an out for his little mistake. And so, my Paladin and the evil necromancer, we touch our big black balls together, they cancel each other out, and thus ended the bizarre Sphere of Annihilation story. It was awarded to my Paladin upon winning a fantasy game show.